Legacy 420 has medicinal and recreational products down to a science, literally. With 2 biochemists on staff and a chief scientific advisor, every product is tested in the Legacy 420 laboratory. Legacy 420, Tyendinaga. Open 9 to 9 every day. Visit legacy420.com.
So what are you doing? Nothing. Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
What's the matter with that cat there?
Must be full of reefer.
Full of reefers?
Yeah, man.
Mean that cat's high?
Sailing.
Sailing?
Lightly.
We now wander off the beaten path with an update from the Reefer Reporter.
Hello and welcome to the Reefer Reporters. We are live and it's February 25th, 2019. I am Al Graham and Northern Ontario Kim Cooper joins me here at the Legacy 420 News Desk on 420radio.ca. Hello, Kim. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good today here, Al. I'm up in far northern Ontario here, up in the Kirkland Lake area, and pretty much every road in and out of the north is closed. You cannot get in and out of Timmins. You can barely get down to North Bay from anywhere further north than that. And from what I hear, Highway 400 is also closed in both directions because of the miserable weather conditions we're having. So wherever you are, stay inside, stay indoors, and have a listen to what's in the news.
That's right. Yeah, well, what's not in the news is that I have a few less shingles on my roof this morning. Found them in the driveway.
Yeah, the weather is wreaking havoc on property and roads everywhere. You're losing shingles, cars are piled up, and roads are closed.
That's
Good time
right.
to stay home and listen to the news broadcast.
I think so. And we're going to start off with a story, as we always do right here in Canada, and that is that about the cannabis edibles. Some people have some concerns.
Yeah, a lot of people have some concerns and so unfounded. Canada's proposed regulations the way that they're doing it, people are saying making some tasteless products wrapped in wasteful packaging and shutting out medical patients, which will fuel the black market.
That's right. Yeah, because that all ended last Wednesday, as far as the input the government was taking from the people, right?
That's right. We reported on that on Tuesday's show because Monday was the holiday and encouraged everybody to chime in and have their views known. It doesn't seem like a whole lot of consumers did that from what's coming out.
Well, let's hope that, some people say, would they even listen to us after what we went through, with the legalization thing. But yeah, I guess 10 milligrams is enough. Like, this would be like a whole, like, we're not talking about 10 milligrams for a piece. We're talking about a whole chocolate bar or maybe a whole cookie or a whole beverage even.
Yeah. So an entire, can of pop, we have infused pop now. We have infused water now on the market in the gray market area. Then this market's been flourishing for number of years and has really taken a life of its own. A lot of medical patients rely on these products to be made for them by these companies because we're not capable of making them at home. We don't have the know-how, the time, or the product to do it. It takes a lot of equipment to do this kind of thing. People are invested in this already. We've been using these products on the market that are 50 milligrams and 100 milligrams. My tea that I drink 3 cups of per day are 50 milligrams. A 10 milligram tea, I'd have to drink 5 teas in a half an hour to get the same effect as the one I'm drinking now.
Yeah, just imagine you have yourself a busy time getting rid of all that too, I would think.
Yeah, that's a lot to consume. I have a busy life. I can't be living it running to the can. This is insane.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, you can put a 10 milligram limit. I can see that doing that on something like a gummy bear, but not a package of gummy bears, not a can of pop, and not a cup of tea.
Yeah. Well, they say the regulations of the products must not be appealing to the youth, and the packages can't advertise dessert or flavors. Edibles must also not encourage overconsumption and be self-stable. So you can't have it can't be required to be refrigerated.
Right. Can't go bad. Can't be required to be refrigerated. All of that. Non-perishable item it has to be. So that takes out a huge segment of the edible products that are out there, unless you start making them in a different way where they're chemical and preservative based, which takes away from anybody who's after the holistic approach to their medicine, which most people are that are consuming the natural product.
Yeah. Well, they had a discussion here with Jessica Villano. She's the owner of Buddha Barn Dispensary in Vancouver. And she's worried that the restrictions mean that brownies, cookies, and candies are off limits. She also says they're proposing that basically that they sell sand. The stores sell sand,
Yeah, they can't have cannabis. They can't be using cannabis sugar and stuff like that because it's promoting the things that they're saying are not allowed. I mean, the rules are they're preposterous on the grand scheme of things. And the limits on THC content aren't going to do anything for their sales because nobody's going to buy it. Nobody wants a tasteless product, and nobody wants a product that they need to eat a bag of cookies to work.
Well, Health Canada says that the regulations would allow ingredients, including sugar and chocolate, in their edibles, but they must not feature ingredients, shape, flavors, colors, or packaging or labeling that would appeal to youth. Do you tell me?
Yeah. Isn't that like everything? Like that is so wide, such a wide field there. It's too innocuous. You can't say things like that. It needs to be set out in stone, so to speak, and the restrictions need to come off.
Yeah. Well, they say here that also that the limits also are geared towards capsules and stuff as well, eh?
Yeah, capsules as well. So this is for patients, treating stuff like cancer.
But yet it's supposed to be a recreational store. Are people take capsules for recreational purposes?
Capsules aren't recreational. They are medicinal. So they are coming into the medical market under the guise of recreational. And this is very concerning for patients. Patients today, I mean, we've been getting our medibles from dispensaries and the gray market for decades. And the market has evolved and giving us what we need to treat our conditions. And that's basically what the rec market is based on, what the patients have developed. So you're cutting out the legs of patients when you're doing this.
Well, they also spoke to Yannick Craigwell. He's with Treats and Treats, and they sell sweet goodies containing up to 220 milligrams of THC for medical patients. He doesn't have colorful packaging or nothing, but he's got a little window in the thing so people can see inside the package. Yep. And he's found out he's not even allowed to have that.
No cutout window allowed. You cannot see the product inside. It's got to be in the dark brown paper bag, back to the old days of hiding your booze when you went to buy it after Prohibition ended for alcohol. It's following the same guidelines basically as that. And of course, there is one segment of the population that's quite happy about this. One parent guy, Bruce Litton, that we all know, the CEO of Canopy Growth Corporation, has said the rules aren't perfect, but they're good. His company is developing calorie-free cannabis-based beverage, and he doesn't see an issue with the 10 milligram limit per serving.
Wow. That's going to take I don't know. You're going to end up in the bathroom beside the person drinking all that tea.
Yeah. 10 milligrams. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hopefully things get changed, but I think they could receive a lot of letters stating that 10 milligrams is too low, and I don't really think it's going to change anything, unfortunately.
No, that's right. People will continue buying their products where we've always gotten them from. If the objective is to get people to roll over into the legal market with legal products, that's not going to happen with this plan.
No, I agree with you. This isn't going to change anything along that line. People are going to keep going where they're going, and if the benefit there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next story.
Yeah, sounds good. We're going to go into Quebec.
Yes. We see there that the mayor of Montreal is not happy with the Quebec government.
Yeah, she's not at all. She says that the new plan, which among other things will make it much harder to smoke in public places and increase the legal age to 18 to 21, isn't boding well in the city of Montreal.
No, she says it does not reflect the city's reality or the budget. And but the provincial government says that they're sticking to these some of these plans.
Yeah, they say they're
raising
not,
the age.
Yeah, they're not backing away. And let's be clear on that. According to Lyle Carmont, he said to reporters on Tuesday, what we want to do is reduce consumption among youth, and allowing people to smoke in public risks increasing that if the use of cannabis, according to him.
Yeah, he's not willing to backtrack on anything. And it's not only the mayor of Montreal who's complaining, it's also the police chief. They presented a brief together at committee, and they were tearing the bill to shreds.
Yeah. It's not boding well at all. The feds or the provincial governments at hand, and the people that are actually running the cities and the police forces around Quebec aren't happy at all with the provincial stand.
Well, they say that the old laws, which left most of the decisions up to individual cities and where they could smoke tobacco, the new bill proposed a blanket provincial ban on smoking in public, including parks and festivals. And they say that that is a direct violation of the principle of municipal autonomy.
Autonomy,
yeah.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. Municipalities and cities are supposed to be able to govern themselves and make the rules that work for their communities. This is an absolute infringement on that right.
Yeah, they say 60% of the people in Montreal rent. Oh,
yeah.
Busy police force for sure.
I mean, where are they supposed to consume? Rental properties are largely smoke-free. So if you can only smoke in your own home and you're not allowed to smoke in your own home, where do you consume this legal product?
Well, Mr. Carmant says instead of complaining about this, people should consume edible cannabis instead.
Yeah. Just take away somebody's right to consume a product, whatever method they choose to consume, that is legal under the law that we run the right for in the Supreme Court of Canada. Just do it that way. No. How about you just chew tobacco instead of smoking it?
Well, the city also, they were against the age limit increase. They say that studies show about 40% of the population between the age of 15 to 24 consumed cannabis last year. And they say increasing the age of 21 excludes the age group from that legal market, which means they will buy unregulated black market products.
And that's exactly right. The Quebec Bar Association also released a statement on this, saying the law could face a constitutional challenge, invoking age discrimination because the legal age to smoke and drink is 18.
Yeah, exactly. And Montreal isn't the only one who's complaining. They say in separate briefs, union there that represents 360 municipalities also called the government to back off and respect the municipalities' rights. Yeah. So they are getting some flack for sure.
Yeah, they have the right to the autonomy. They're stepping on human rights and causing age discrimination. The government has to be held accountable for that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And hopefully make changes there. Because they obviously need some.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to keep our eyes on the Quebec situation.
Yes, something tells me that story is not going to end anytime soon.
No, fight to be had there for sure. From Quebec, we're going to talk about one of the major corporations here in Canada.
That's right. It's right. Something that's probably a favorite on a lot of Canadians' tables, and that is hemp seed, produced by a company called Manitoba Harvest. Well, It turns out that company has been purchased from Tilray.
Yeah, I have a bag of that in my cupboard right now. Manitoba Harvest is a beloved brand to Canadians across the board that consume hemp seeds and hemp oils and cannabis products alike. Hemp seed is so good for you, high in iron and vitamins and
omega fatty acids.
Omega fatty acids, protein. That's right. Same kind of stuff that you usually get from fish oils, which aren't safe anymore. You can get from hemp seeds, so it's very, very popular brand for sure. And a lot of people are pretty upset by this.
I have a T-shirt called that says it's $4.19. Oh, you got a minute. It's $4.19. Well, they should have waited $1 million here because this purchase is for $419 million.
Yeah, coincidence.
I don't know, but it looks like they've bought up Manitoba Harvest, and
now one of our beloved brands is owned by an LP. Many Canadians and activists that use this company aren't real happy about it.
Yeah. Well, they say that Manitoba Harvest plans to launch a branded line of tinctures, sprays, and soft gels containing broad-spectrum hemp extracts containing CBD. That's what they plan on doing.
Yeah, I think a lot of this stems from the LP's position that hemp products and hemp-derived CBD is also proprietary to the legal producer system in Canada, even though it comes from hemp and not the cannabis plant. And perhaps this is a step forward to get a foothold in the hemp industry as well with the legal producers in this country.
Yes, yeah. And the fact that more and more people are getting involved in all this. And Manitoba Harvest has got a huge
following.
Yeah, already. So
yeah, huge following, huge customer base.
Yeah, and now they'll be able to expand into the CBD market.
Yeah. So, Tilray, they're on board with a beloved company known by most Canadians.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, all right. Well, there you go. Manitoba Harvest sold.
Yeah.
Sold. And going from one
to another.
Licensed producer. We're going to another one. I'm going to say, we are without, and that's here in Ontario. As you know, Kim, licensed producers here in Ontario can only have stores where they have their factory.
That's right.
They're not allowed to have stores across the province. There's only been 25 stores that have been named, but with all the rules and things in there to prevent things, Tweed, Canopy Growth still ends up with their name in flashy lights above a business.
Yeah, loopholes abound. Canopy Growth Corporation, parent company Tweed, has released a news release on Thursday, and it said that it has teamed up with a Quebec retail chain, Couche-Tard. Canopy has signed a multi-year agreement with the alimentation Couche-Tard for its partnership. So basically, they bought the rights to advertise above a retail store.
Yeah. This company is the owner of Circle K. Most people know them as Max Milk. Convenience stores.
Yep.
They basically bought the rights to use Tweed's name, and then they turn around and take that right and have an agreement with an Ontario retailer to use that name on a business.
Yep.
So they're trying to skirt things by going through a middle person by having Max Milk own that Tweed name. so that they still get the promotion on a store in Ontario.
That's right. That's right. They've developed a partnership agreement to make them co-owners. Therefore, the company has the right to use the name on any of the businesses that they have. So opening up a cannabis store, they can put up the name Tweed in bright light above the store. And and it's within the rules.
Yep. Cannabis is going to help Max Milk people to learn about the cannabis issue. And then that Max Milk people are going to be working with the Ontario store. So they, apparently no direct connection, apparently. But, the rules all change as of this year, and I can see this being gobbled up really quickly.
Yeah, well, it's in Ontario because, of course, the numbered lottery company or the numbered company that was listed as the winner of one of the shops is set to open up a store in London, Ontario, and it will most likely carry the Tweed store banner on top of it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. That's right. And, here we got, maybe we only have 25 recreational stores here in the province, but that's 25 more medical stores that we have.
That's right. That's right. Still no medical stores available to walk in and look at and purchase product and find out information on products that are available. Still don't exist, but Tweed's name gets to go in lights above a rec store.
That's right. And, that's only one store for today. And I'm sure that could expand down the road.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Kim, let's do one more story before we go to our break.
Sounds good to me. We're going to talk about some First Nations stuff that's coming to light, and we talked about this before the show. And my apologies to our First Nations people out there. We are going to slaughter this name, and if anybody can let me know the proper pronunciation, I'd be quite happy with that.
Yes, same here. Same here.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to try about. We'll give this a shot. We'll talk about the Sajin or Sajin First Nations are jumping into the cannabis market. The spelling on that is Saugeen. So let me know proper pronunciation, please.
Yes, well, they're looking at opening up a cannabis industrial park.
Yeah, kind of interesting idea coming out of this First Nations area. They're part of a Canadian Indigenous business headquartered in Niyashing. Oh, geez. You want to try it out?
No.
Niyashing?
Niyashing. Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know, company officials. I'm so sorry, but I cannot read that. The potential, anyway, is bigger than their Bruce to Milton deal, where their Hydro One deal. So they've got it currently in effect some hydro deals going on. So they think that this will create more of an economic boom there than those legacy deals did.
They got 750 acres to create an industrial park for indoor and outdoor cannabis growing, as well as retail components and I'm sure processing and all that.
Yeah, so everything is happening on site. Linkletter called the 750-acre cannabis industrial park a national concept.
Yeah, well, they hope to get started in June, so it's not too many few months. It's only a few months away.
Yeah. I guess they've gotten themselves an outdoor grow license with the WISAG Ventures and is expected to receive approval within the next few weeks or so. And then they're going to be getting going, growing in Canada.
The area is basically a fence around a lot with some cameras and some lighting and a couple of indoor buildings to process the product.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. And that's all that's really requires a couple of buildings and an area to go. So, I mean, stuff's happening on another First Nations property.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's growing more and more. You're hearing about it more across the country. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. More and more First Nations getting in on the economic boom.
Yeah. Well, as they say, it's their inherited right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, Kim. It's medication time.
It most certainly is.
All right, this week we're going to hear an old news report from Consumer Watch, and that has to do with cannabis and menopause. And then Kim and I will be right back after we hear about a special island from the Killing Time Band. You're listening to the Reefer Reporters. We are live here at 420radio.ca.
Well, we hear a lot about the benefits of medical marijuana, but now one group is focused on a very specific demographic. Joining us today from Elementa Marin is Sherry Mateo. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And your group is focused on menopausal women and the benefits of medical marijuana. Why?
Well, because medical marijuana can really be a benefit in perimenopause and menopause. Cannabis can help with things like anti-anxiety, insomnia. It has anti-inflammatory effects, so it can help with chronic pain or just even your basic aches and pains that some of us feel every morning. And it can also help get our endocannabinoid system back into balance. It has cannabinoids in it. Cannabinoids are chemicals that are found naturally in the plant. We have a system in our bodies called the endocannabinoid system. When we're in menopause or perimenopause, our hormones are all out of whack. The endocannabinoid system is thought to be able to helpfully bring us back into balance, even though our hormones are out of balance.
So what do you say to women who say, listen, I'm a grandma. I don't want to walk around high all the time.
So there are many different chemicals in the cannabis plant, and they have different effects. The most famous one is THC. That's the one that's psychotropic, and that's the one that gets you high. But there are other chemicals that are really beneficial to our health. One of them that's also really well known now is CBD, otherwise known as cannabidiol. So for women particularly who don't want to get high, they can choose a high CBD compound, which will not get them high at all. Or if they do want to get some of the benefits from THC, because THC is beneficial in other ways than just being psychotropic, they can do what we call microdosing, which is taking very small amounts throughout the day just to get your system in balance.
Legacy 420 has medicinal and recreational products down to a science, literally. With 2 biochemists on staff and a chief scientific advisor, every product is tested in the Legacy 420 laboratory. Legacy 420, Tyndonega. Open 9 to 9 every day. Visit legacy420.com.
Are you looking for cannabis news, education, and people's opinions? Are you looking to learn what Canadian and international cannabis advocates are doing? Not only now, but what got them to this point in their lives, and what does the future hold for them? Do you want to learn how patients are using cannabis as their daily medication, or learn how their cannabis use helps them with their medical condition? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I'm going to suggest to you to tune in to Lifestyle Radio. Catch their live weekly shows and have your questions and concerns answered and find the experience you're looking for. Monday, catch your weekly news broadcast with the Reefer Reporters. Then on Wednesday, get several hours worth of cannabis public education. We get things started with cannabis and coffee with Tamarijuana. Finish up your evening with the award-winning Pace Radio Show with Al Graham, and no week would be complete without tuning into Friday night's program, the 420 Radio Show featuring Al Rapp and the 420 Radio crew, Mary Jane Baker and Marcel Gagnac. Cannabis is a lifestyle, and you can catch all your cannabis lifestyle information right here at 420radio.ca. An apple a day won't keep this doctor away, but a gram of cannabis may keep you away from the doctor. Find out how by tuning into The Higher Estate with Dr. Ira Price, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only here at 420radio.ca. Tune in to DJ Passion from the land of Ganja, the island of Jamaica, when he comes to you live every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 420radio.ca.
Someday we'll find it. Somehow, somewhere on Killing Time Island is my friends and me. Killing Time Island.
Okay, we're back, and we are the Reefer Reporters. Kim and I, we got some medication into us. Got the session all completed. What do you think, Kim? Time to get back at her?
Time to get back at her. Let's start off up in my neck of the woods.
All right, we always make sure we get something up there.
Yeah, unfortunately, not good news this time. Greater Sudbury police have charged 2 people for operating an illicit cannabis dispensary in Cape Real this past week.
That's never good news.
Never good news.
Never.
Another dispensary gone down.
Cannabis compliance enforcement officers.
Yeah. Yeah, a new division, a criminal division that's been attached to the Sudbury Police Dispatch.
Yeah. Well, apparently 2 police officers stopped. They went in there. They were undercover. They saw somebody purchasing some. So they stopped the transaction and arrested the salesperson.
Yeah, not long after the arrest, the 34-year-old female owner of the storefront arrived, and she is also facing the same charge, and that's distributing of cannabis.
That's right, and you notice in the list of charges or stuff that they found, CBD oil.
Yeah, a lot of the products are CBD, and they're still being arrested for those products as well. They say the investigation is ongoing. Heartbreaking that this is happening in Cape Real.
Yeah. They say here the public is reminded that legal cannabis can only be obtained through the provincial government. And that's online ordering only here in Ontario. And they say any form of CBD product, oil edibles, is also illegal to purchase or sell.
Yeah. This is a bit of a follow-up to a previous story we reported on a while back where Sudbury police forces were going around and letting shop owners, corner stores and different shops in the area know that the CBD products that they were selling were in fact illegal. And they said they were going to be doing follow-ups on that afterwards and taking matters further. So I would think maybe that this is part of that.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah. Well, let's go from some sad news to some much happier news.
Yeah, friends to the show, Michelle Sikora and Douglas Sikora, the Candy Man, otherwise known as the Candy Man, got some great news about their temporary use permit.
That's right. The Gibson Council has settled the debate over the TUP, which is the temporary use permit for their store, adding in a new condition on the advice of its lawyers.
Yeah, so S&M Sweet Shop is open for business with a legal permit. They are in discussions with the town, and they've been issued their temporary use. Now, the only person that was opposed to issuing this in the first place was the mayor. He's the one that asked for the extra consultations. Now that's taken place, and it looks like it's going to go ahead.
That's right. Well, because they didn't have a license. They weren't even going to apply for a provincial license, I believe. But maybe they've changed their mind, and this is what's allowed them to go ahead and get the permit.
Yeah, they're issuing the permit, I guess, on the conditions that were set forth. We don't really know any of the details on that, just that the Sikoras were willing to comply with at least processing an application to get that. So as long as that application is in effect, I believe then their TUP has been issued. So good news for Doug and Michelle for sure. Good to see the city of town of Gibson working with them on this. It's too bad that the mayor was the one to put a wrench in it, but I'm glad it worked out in the end.
Yeah, well, it seems there was 2 other businesses that also had TUPs, and they were applying, so they felt that S&M should also apply.
Yeah. I don't believe they're asking for, the license to have approval and all of that, just that the application be put in. So it looks like that's going to go ahead.
Yeah, it says right here, Michelle Sikora of S&M said they would be willing to accept the new conditions, and the TUP was approved in a unanimous vote.
Excellent. great news for Michelle and Doug. Their products are great, and they're helping so many patients in need with the edible products that they've been used to using, and that helps.
It'd be nice to get their opinion on these new regulations coming in for edibles, eh?
Yeah. Well, I plan on having them on for a follow-up in the very near future on the Pace Radio Show, so stay tuned for an announcement on that.
Yes, that'd be good to hear from them. All right. Now, talking about announcements, I see that Nish has got one.
Yeah, another former guest on the Pace Radio Show, Dr. Jenna Valeriani. Valeriani has been promoted to the position of CEO.
That's right. Yeah, she is well respected in the academic and cannabis community, and they are very pleased that she is taking a leadership role at Nish.
Yeah, excellent to see. I met Jenna at the Smith Extract trial, actually, and very, very nice lady. She went on to work for Normal Canada after I left the organization, and now she's working with Niche. Great to see a female CEO in this position of CEO. We need more women at the head of these industries.
Yeah, she's currently a postdoctoral fellow at the BC Centre for Substance Use and a strategic advisor for Canadian Students for Sensible Drug Policy.
Yeah. Her work's involved in reaching community-based cannabis substitution programs and the instrumental uses of cannabis.
Yeah, and I believe I posted the story earlier on my Facebook wall. I believe that she was involved in something else that was very important. Shoot, I just lost it. Oh, she won a medal. She got one of those federal Jubilee 50th anniversary or whatever it was.
Oh, right.
Yeah, for her work in the cannabis community.
Yeah, that's right. She did too. You're absolutely right. I had forgotten all about that until just now. Jenna's been around for a long, long time, and her strides that she's made in the educational world and in the business world, she's definitely a force to be reckoned with, and lady knows her stuff.
Yeah, I can remember she was working with MedCan Access way back when, and MedCan Access, which is no more and got swallowed up by Tweed, but she was she's been involved in this community for a long time. So
yeah, absolutely. So hats off to Jenna. Congratulations, all the best, and look forward to seeing more things from Jenna Valeriani in the future, also known as Jenna Bobina on Facebook.
Correct, exactly. Yes. All right. From that story, let's move on to one that I find interesting because I'm sort of helping a patient along that line, and that is the Parkinson's Foundation will gather experts to study cannabis for therapy.
I mean, this is fantastic, fantastic news coming from the Parkinson's Foundation down in the United States. This is coming to us from a conference that was held in Denver.
Yeah, there's about 40 top scientists, physicians, people from the cannabis industry, clinicians. They're all going to be there involved in this.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Having people of this caliber coming together and talking about Parkinson's use with cannabis. There was a survey conducted jointly by the Parkinson's Foundation and Chicago's Northwestern University, and then it found that 80% of Parkinson's patients have used cannabis. And of that, 95% of neurologists have been asked to prescribe medical marijuana for Parkinson's. But only 23% of doctors have ever received formal education on the subject. So that's a big problem.
Well, I've got a bit of first-hand experience in this. I had a patient reach out to me who has Parkinson's. Fellow's got to be 80 years of age. The family reached out to me and they asked me about whether Parkinson's and cannabis, cannabis would be a benefit to him. And so I went and talked with them. I gave them some information. I gave documentaries that they could watch and all that. And I'm happy to report that I've been informed that Dad, because his hands aren't shaking.
Wow.
Amazing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been reported in, countries across the globe have done studies on cannabis use with tremors, and amazing results.
Quality of life improvement, big time. They're so happy, that that we were able to have a talk, and I was able to show them some information, and they went from there. And then I've talked to them just recently, and the father's been on so many medications, and now that he's using an oil from a place that has cannabis in it, that he's finding life a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean, we've heard this time and time again. Now, is it a magic bullet? Is it a cure-on? Will it cure all? Will it work for everyone? Absolutely not.
No.
And, strain, huge factor in whether or not it's going to work for you. What works for one will not work for another. So just like in our pharmaceutical lives,
Correct.
with finding the right pill that works, you have to find the right strain that works for you, your body, and your endocannabinoid system. So it is trial and error. And just because one didn't work doesn't mean another one won't.
Yeah, they were telling me that when they first started, when the father first started on, they had to, regulate things. They found that he was using too much. I wouldn't say getting too stoned or whatever, but just didn't feel
over-medicated.
Yeah, just feeling
it happened.
Backed off, found something that was where they were comfortable with, and works. They just didn't. I was so happy they just didn't say, "Oh no,"
A lot of people do think the effects, and they say, "Oh, I'm never doing that again." We don't do this, and we don't go through this with prescribed pharmaceuticals that the doctors give us. If we've taken too much and it's like, "Oh God, I better take less next time," that's our never doing that again. So I don't understand that mentality when it's to cannabis. We don't seem to want to put the same thought process into what's happening with this medication as we do with pharmaceuticals for some reason. I think largely because of the propaganda that's in our from all of these years. But it really is trial and error. We have to try and figure out to titrate the right dose for our body, for our condition. And that will change with tolerance as well.
Yeah. Well, they do need some information and education. I don't know. They're talking about cannabis creates hallucinations, but in this article. But I'm glad to see that they are doing some research, and it's something that needs to be done.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the speakers that are there are very well educated and have done some of the research, and some of them are really great. There's people that have articles published as far back as 2015 and 2001 on the use of cannabis with tremors. So hopefully doctors will get some education while they're there and do some more research on their own and then come to their own conclusions.
Yeah, and hopefully they talk to some patients. Yeah. Well, obviously, if there's this many patients, there 80% of, like you said, 80% of Parkinson's patients have used cannabis. Would 80% of the people use cannabis if it wasn't beneficial? Like, I'm sure they're talking. Like, not all everybody's talking to everybody, but I'm sure that's it's information sharing is happening.
Right. That's right. And again, that's, when these people, the clinicians and stuff say there are not enough studies. Well, you know what? The stats are there. You've just got to look at them. If 80% of the patients that are of a debilitating disease are using one medication because it works, that's a stat.
That's that's something that's very important that should be looked at, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, talking about patients and recreational here in Canada and USA, I also see that I think we've touched on this story in the past about the medical end going to Thailand, but I see now they're talking about possibly legal for everybody.
Yeah, it's evolving quickly in Asia. This was just, 6 months ago they started talking about legalization for medical use. Now they are having the discussion about widening that frame.
Yes, that's right, which is good, because it's sad to see. I believe there weren't the laws at one time. People were actually killed for marijuana.
Yeah, you could get the death penalty for cannabis. It was classed as just one of the regular drugs, the same as if you got caught with, cocaine or methamphetamine. You could face a firing squad down there. But the mindsets are changing. Someone who is running for prime minister down there, Mr. Anutin Charnivik, another one, Charnivikal, Nivarakal. Charnivarakal. Marijuana is not a drug, and it should be legal. It's that simple, he says.
That's right. He's leading the party. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. And the election is on March the 24th. And speaking in front of a full house of Democratic and international journalists at some correspondence club in Thailand, he says that unlike alcohol and cigarettes, cannabis has great health benefits such as treating cancer, Alzheimer's, and insomnia.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
God.
And he goes on to say that
the John Thai party. Yeah. Legalization of the drug, a core company policy, and is going so far as incorporating cannabis leaves into its signage all over Bangkok.
Yes, nice. Well, it'd be nice to see that happen. I don't know how big this party is. Like, we had the marijuana party here in Canada. I think
so is this the equivalent to that down there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Find out how widespread they are. The article in South China Morning Post does have a picture of their party sign, and there is most definitely a predominant pot leaf right down and 3/4 of the way down the sign.
Yeah, well, down there, as we said, they are a country with some of the most dragon laws around there. So it's good to see things are opening up. We know the medical end is going through the government. Like I said, I don't know how big this party is, but hopefully it gets maybe some of the other parties talking about it.
Yeah. Well, if it starts the conversation, it's a good thing to have, right? Anything that pushes the agenda and starts the conversation, spreads the education, is always a good thing.
That's right. Well, it's too bad we didn't get down further in the story. I see here they changed the guy's name over to Mr. Weed.
I can pronounce that.
They are proposing to allow each household to grow 6 plants, with each plant generating $2,240.
Yeah.
All right, that's what it said, yeah. 8 plants from the families, giving each a windfall, which is 42 or 420,000 baht. Yeah, a sizable sum in poor rural areas of Thailand, they say.
Yeah. Well, they say the stakes are high in both Thailand and abroad. Marijuana globally is a $250 billion business today. Thailand wants in on that.
That's right. Oh, I'm sure they do. And, these people could grow 6 plants and turn around and
sell them back to the government.
Geez, and here, isn't that something that people have been saying around here to deal with Canada?
Yeah. Oh, we have a shortage. Okay. Well, we have growers across the country that are growing right now. Why is there a shortage in the legal market? There's ways around that, people. Thailand is even caught on to that.
Here's Thailand coming up with a suggestion.
That's it. That's it. Out of the woodwork comes Thailand.
Yeah. Who knew? Okay, Kim, well, it's medication time again.
Awesome.
All right. Well, our listeners, you're going to hear some more of that news article there on cannabis and menopause. Benefits there. It's always good to hear some benefits, right, Kim?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. And then after that, you'll hear some more about that special island and the Killing Time Band. And you're listening to Reefer Reporters. We are live here at 420radio.ca.
Hey, this is Cheech. And this is Chong. And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio. What is it? Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time. 420 Radio? Ooh.
Hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Now, do you need a prescription from a doctor, or should you work with a doctor before experimenting with this, specifically for menopause?
That's a really excellent question, and it's quite frankly a difficult one to answer. It would be great if doctors and nurses could give us more advice about the endocannabinoid system, but the truth of the matter is this was only discovered in the 1980s and so has not been taught in nursing or medical schools.
Now, another concern for some, especially considering the air quality we're experiencing, is inhaling smoke. We know that smoke is a carcinogen. Do folks who use medical marijuana for these purposes need to actually smoke it?
No, absolutely not. Cannabis is available in so many different forms at this point. You can have tinctures, you can have edibles, you can smoke or you can vape, and vaping and smoking are slightly different. The reason why people smoke cannabis is because in the raw plant itself, THC is not present. THC is present in a precursor form. It doesn't become THC, the psychoactive component, until it's heated to a certain temperature. So smoking it heats it, turns it into the psychoactive component, which makes you high. So depending upon how the marijuana is used, it can either get you high or not. And remember, there are over 100 cannabinoids in cannabis, and each one of them, we're just beginning to find the different effects that they can have.
How interesting. Well, certainly a lot to learn, and you guys have a gathering coming up in the Bay Area.
Yes, we have gatherings every month, and we have them throughout the Bay Area. We have one on November 28th, which is Wednesday night, at 7 o'clock at Neighborly. That one is actually in San Francisco.
Okay.
And then I have one in Marin on the same night at Yoga Works Larkspur Landing, and I'm going to be talking about yoga and meditation and cannabis.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We learned a lot about cannabis and medical marijuana. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Are you looking for cannabis news, education, and people's opinions? Are you looking to learn what Canadian and international cannabis advocates are doing, not only now, but what got them to this point in their lives, and what does the future hold for them? Do you want to learn how patients are using cannabis as a daily medication, or learn how their cannabis use helps them with their medical condition? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I'm going to suggest to you to tune in to Lifestyle Radio. Catch their live weekly shows and have your questions and concerns answered and find the experience you're looking for. Monday, catch your weekly news broadcast with the Reefer Reporters. Then on Wednesday, get several hours worth of cannabis public education. We get things started with Cannabis and Coffee with Tamarawana. Finish up your evening with the award-winning Pace Radio Show with Al Graham, and no week would be complete without tuning into Friday night's program, the 420 Radio Show, featuring Al Rapp and the 420 Radio crew, Mary Jane Baker and Marcel Gignac. Cannabis is a lifestyle, and you can catch all your cannabis lifestyle information right here at 420radio.ca. An apple a day won't keep this doctor away, but a gram of cannabis may keep you away from the doctor. Find out how by tuning into The Higher Estate with Dr. Ira Price, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only here at 420radio.ca. Tune in to DJ Passion from the land of Ganja, the island of Jamaica, when he comes to you live every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 420radio.ca.
Legacy 420 has medicinal and recreational products down to a science, literally. With 2 biochemists on staff and a chief scientific advisor, every product is tested in the Legacy 420 laboratory. Legacy 420, Tyndonega. Open 9 to 9 every day. Visit legacy420.com.
Lays around all day. So drink back fuel and get carried away. There's only a few guys, but tons of girls. Laying around half naked out by the pool. Someday we'll find it. Somehow, somewhere on Killing Time Island.
Hey, we're back from another medication session, and we are the Reefer Reporters, and we are live here at 420radio.ca. Well, Kim, we got one more segment to go. We got some more news to cover. Shall we get right back at it?
Yeah, sounds good. One of the big hits of February is the start of event season in the acting world. So the Oscars took place this week and just yesterday, and there was some surprises going on there.
Yes. Well, as you know, leading up to that, here we're talking about the Oscars on the Reefer Reporters, right? But leading up to that, all the people who are going to the Oscars, they get swag bags, and
right.
Within those swag bags were some cannabis products, was it not?
Yeah, cannabis products made the Oscars. We reported on this last week on the Reefer Reporters, letting people know that cannabis products were indeed going to be in the actors' swag bags. A new development on that, the companies wanted to run commercials during the program, promoting the products that were contained within the bags. The commercials were rejected.
Correct. Just like in the football end of things. Another network, large network, wouldn't run a cannabis commercial.
Yeah, right. The spot for Lowell Herb Company shows family farmers artisanally tending to sustainable pot practices in their verdant fields before Thorne indulges in the finishing product with some hipster pals at a party. The company says the ad is a celebration of California's legalization of cannabis. And it's a shame that the message won't be televised, he said.
Yeah, and it was also rejected from buying a local ad as well as the national ad.
Yeah, local ads were rejected, national ads were rejected. No ads to be played about cannabis, even though it was in the swag bags.
That's right. Well, it's been reported that cannabis is still categorized as Schedule I drug on the federal level, so its legal status is continually subject to obstacles.
Yeah,
and that's why they passed they're not running the ads.
Not running the ads. When ABC was asked for a quote on its rejection of the ad, they didn't get back to them.
Yeah. That comment I just said, it was on the CBS during the football thing. But yeah, ABC wouldn't speak up about this.
No comment from ABC at all. They're just gonna go mute.
Yeah, exactly. We just didn't want to. We said no.
Yeah.
We can put your products in our swag bags.
But we can't tell anybody.
For the Oscars, but yeah, we can't tell anybody.
Keep it in the closet. Keeping it in the closet still, right? No.
Yeah, well, I didn't watch it. For the opening.
Yeah, Queen performed the first song, and they were also the big winners of the night, taking I think 4 or 5 Oscars.
Did they? Well, yeah, I know the lead guy got something.
Yeah.
And the movie, I think,
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's good to see.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on. This is something that we see not really we see all the time, but it is something we see on Facebook all the time, and that is the selling of cannabis, don't we?
Oh, good gosh, yeah. I operate a few pages, as you know, Al, and I get inundated with people wanting to put up posts, oh, buy my weed, I sell this weed, blah, blah, blah. I, of course, never allow those kind of things on my pages because you just don't know what it is or who it's coming from or if it's real. But cops, I guess, are monitoring that kind of shit these days, and people are getting caught.
That's right. Albany, there we go. Albany County Sheriff Craig Apple said that they set up a pair of transactions, and investigators showed up at the house. Like, hey man, I want to pick up that weed I ordered online, right? Well, they showed up at the guy's house and they arrested the 23-year-old.
Yeah, he found about a pound of pot that was packaged for sale. Investigators later found an additional 6 pounds of pot when they searched the house.
That's right. Now he's sitting in the Albany County Jail. So, there you go, folks.
Selling pot online.
Can you get arrested for selling cannabis on Facebook?
Yep, you can.
You can. There you go.
And you do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I on my one group thing that anybody can post on, members, it's a pin post. No selling.
Yeah, no sales. No thank you, no sales.
Yeah. That's right.
Sell it on Facebook, not a smart thing to do. For going in a different direction on smart things to do, we've got somebody that we've discussed on the show and we've looked to for guidance and research. A doctor that is very passionate about researching cannabinoid therapy. Dr. Sue Sicily is back in the news.
That's right. She sure is. She's an Arizona researcher. She's completed the first ever clinical trial of cannabis to treat PTSD. And they hope to publish these results of the 3-year study soon.
Yeah, Dr. Sue Sicily, great clinician, been an investigator and investigating cannabis for a very long time. She did this study. They don't have the results back on it yet. It was the very first study that was done, the first 7-year study navigating all of the barriers of research and the regulatory agencies and the rejections. You have to go through hurdles with NIDA and just to get permission to do this study took her years.
7 years.
To get the proper permission, and it's finally completed. So she's compiling the data right now, and she plans on releasing those results as soon as it's all done and compiled. The good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all going to come out.
They use 4 different varieties of cannabis for the participants, and with different properties. Each veteran decided when and how to smoke, although with a limit of no more than 1.8 grams a day.
Yeah. She says sometimes we saw veterans that had no symptoms on a good day and they wouldn't use any cannabis. Others would use it only at night to initiate sleep or to suppress the nightmares and the flashbacks.
That's right. They smoked the cannabis over the course of 3 weeks and then were required to abstain for 2 consecutive weeks. Symptoms were measured using a CAPS scale. Which is considered the gold standard for measuring the severity of PTSD symptoms.
Yeah. The FDA was concerned about having the outpatient study and about the patients transporting the drug from the lab back to home and allowing patients to titrate and adjust their own dosage to treat their symptoms. But she still managed to get it pulled off. The study was a triple-blind, randomized control trial, meaning all parties, the veterans, the researchers, and the independent raters had no idea what was being administered to each patient. So this is precisely the type of study that everybody's been crying for to have done. And Dr. Sue Sicily has managed to pull it off.
That's right. She says all the good, the bad will be published.
Yeah.
Everything gets put into the public domain so everyone gets a chance to scrutinize it, she says.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's excited about this, and she's quoted in saying, "We've not seen a new treatment for PTSD on the market for over 17 years." Long.
Sure is. That's right. Good story to keep in hand.
For
It'll be
sure.
interesting. Well, hopefully we get a follow-up report on this and when it's all published.
Yeah. Well, I've subscribed to Sue Sicily and the Scottsdale Research Institute that she works for. So I'm watching for updates, and I will definitely keep everybody posted as soon as I hear.
Yeah, and I have her listed in my researchers list at the Pace Radio, not the Pace Radio, but the Pace website. Sue is listed as one of the doctors, the researchers on the page.
Yeah, for sure. Great lady looking for answers.
Okay, this next story, it affects everybody internationally, not just Canada, the U.S. or anything, because it seems to be, well, unless maybe you're in Thailand where you'll be able to grow and sell it too.
Yeah, Thailand might be the only exception to that rule, but it is true. The story comes to us out of Denver, but definitely relatable to Canadians.
That's right. As they say, it's not too late. Or they ask, is it too late for ma and pop operators to get into the cannabis?
Yeah. Somebody that wants to become into the cannabis industry has to jump through quite a bit of hoops. And it's not only the hoops, it's the dollars that go with them.
Oh, yeah. The barriers of getting involved in today's cannabis market, is huge compared to what just a mom and pop operation would be normal to.
Oh, for sure. Today's world, it's about $4,000 wouldn't even cover the necessary licensing application fees to get to market, let alone be enough to hire an army of attorneys and lobbyists and architects and security experts and operational advisors necessary to license, plan, build, and operate a store. And that's just the truth of the matter.
That's right. So what are mom and pop operators to do? They look for money. Look for capital somewhere else.
Look for money. You need funding. You need backing. There's a lot of hurdles.
That's right, because the bank isn't lending money.
No.
Just here in Canada alone, I read a report over the weekend where, the people who are the small operators aren't getting money, but the big companies like the licensed producers and all that, they're getting money.
They're getting the money. The bank are backing all of the ones that are on the stock exchange and all the ones that are the legal producers and all the ones with the big players that are already in on it, multi-billion-dollar corporations. Now, partnering with these corporations, does that mean that you don't have a voice? I mean, what part do you play if you've sold out to a corporation? Is it still a mom and pop operation if you're answering to corporate?
Yeah, exactly. Does it lose all that?
That's it.
Yeah.
The almighty dollar. It's not the hoops. It's the bucks.
Yeah. That's right. And it's, so many here have said, mom and pop operations is what, got things going. And now they're being left out. Yeah.
That's right. I mean, most of the companies that are out there that got us where we are today because they became major players and major companies supplying a large portion of our population with a needed product. They started in their houses. They started in their kitchens. And they evolved from there and became a major player. And now they're getting squeezed out or bought out.
Yeah, they say that immediate capital to get things going, they're talking about $200,000 to $1.5 million just to start up and build out costs for dispensaries.
For a dispensary, and that's in Denver. I would think that here in Canada, it's not far off.
Yeah. With all the requirements these days what we're seeing, there's going to be a few bucks involved. And as we saw with our lottery here in Ontario, companies were going to these people and helping them out.
Multi-million-dollar contracts.
Yeah, here's that $50,000 line of credit you're looking for.
Yeah, and here's another 100,000 on top of that. And what else can we give you? Just let us buy your name. And as we've seen in previous stories that we talked about today, there's ways around the regs to make it happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There is. Get somebody in the middle there, maybe something like Max Milk or something. Might want to help you out.
Yeah. So, is it the end for mom and pop in cannabis? We'll have to wait and see, but it's not looking good right now.
No, that's right. It's not. All right, Kim, we got one more story to cover.
Yeah, we're going to scoot on over to Oregon.
All right, and they are dealing with something that people here in Ontario have been screaming for and wanting our government to look into, but unfortunately, no action appears to have been done so far, and that's the fact that the Oregon Senate schedules hearing on a bill to allow cannabis lounges and cannabis farm tours.
Yeah, where cannabis could be consumed legally.
In a lounge.
Just
imagine that. What would that be like to sit in a lounge and maybe have some entertainment? Jeez.
I wonder what that would be like. Well, it's something that we've been doing here in Ontario and across Canada for decades already. The first vapor lounge opened up in Ontario almost 20 years ago. And cannabis enthusiasts have been attending these lounges everywhere. Since legalization in Canada, Ontario enacted the Smoke-Free Act and put cannabis consumption under it, which means there is no vaping or no smoking of cannabis inside a dwelling or a business. Well, that makes cannabis lounges illegal. The places that have been operating for patients and non-patients to go to consume cannabis are now outlawed in Ontario. And here we have Oregon. Looking at legalizing lounges and doing the right thing. In Ontario, we even have a bigger issue with municipalities even trying to do an end run around the Smoke-Free Ontario Act by enacting bylaws eliminating smoking in public places, city streets, parks, and outdoor venues. This is happening in Ontario and Quebec. So, we need some action on this, and we need our politicians thinking about the people that consume this product. You're giving us a product to consume legally, but telling everybody they can't do it anywhere.
It's right. Well, this will allow, in Oregon anyways, people to consume their cannabis there. Not only will they be able to consume their cannabis in a lounge, but they'll also be able to purchase it at the lounge and at temporary events as well.
Yeah. So
wow,
just like buying a beer or buying a drink, or a cooler, you can go and buy a gram. And you can sit there and you can consume it and then be on your way, which is what we're fighting for here.
That's right. Well, the lounges, just so you know, the lounges and temporary events could not be within 1,000 feet of a school. So you got to be a quarter mile away from a school.
Quarter mile. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, 1250 is a quarter mile. So
yeah.
But the law would allow smoking of cannabis and vaporizing of a substance that contains cannabinoids in designated areas at licensed locations.
Excellent initiative coming out of Oregon. My hat's off to you people. You're thinking with a brain instead of with a prohibition thought pattern.
That's right. Well, Michael Baccarat of the Oregon Normal writes, consumption of cannabis in public is illegal, yet tourists and patients and adults that rent rather than own their homes have the right to purchase and possess cannabis, but no space they can legally consume. In the end, social consumption lounges would also attract more tourists to Oregon and allow for promotion of our local craft producers. Oh.
Absolutely. normal Oregon is thinking with a forward-thinking brain and a prosperous community for the future. This could be an economic boom for everybody if we just let go of the restrictions a little bit.
Yeah, there was a written submission at this was from a patient, and they say, I am not technically allowed to consume at home, nor am I allowed to consume it on a street corner. Unfortunately, the benefits of legalization have gone mostly to businesses and not towards social justice and consumers' rights. I have the right to buy it, pay tax on it, and possess it, but I basically don't have a right to consume it anywhere.
Yep, and this is an issue that people are facing everywhere. Legalization wheels are turning, but not so good in a lot of places. It's good to see Oregon taking steps in the right direction.
That's right. I completely agree. And let's just hope that here in Canada and Ontario and other places that forbid it, that they allow lounges.
Yep. Wake up, people.
Yeah. I like the idea of the temporary events because I've said the same thing. People hold weddings and fundraisers and that. If you've got a beer tent or, you're serving alcohol, why shouldn't you be allowed to have cannabis as an option?
That's right. It's now a legal product in this country that we can buy and consume just the same as alcohol. It shouldn't have any extra restrictions on it. That's for sure.
That's right. Well, you got to think down the road that way too. Well, maybe the smoking issue might be a problem because you say you're in a room of smoking and non-smoking people, but a cannabis beverage.
Yep, that's right. And I mean, smoking being an issue, there's smoking areas, designated smoking areas everywhere for cigarettes. There's no reason that can't be accommodated to either include cannabis or add a separate area for cannabis only.
Yeah, and as a person who medicates with cannabis, I always stay upwind of people in the smoking area.
That's right. There's options. There's options.
It doesn't make sense to medicate where people are slowly killing themselves.
That's right. That's why I suggested a separate area as well.
All right, Kim. Just a reminder to everybody that these stories that we've discussed today are either up on our Facebook page or will be very shortly. And you'll be able to read more of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Check them out. Read more in depth on any story that caught your ear while you were here. And we look forward to talking to you all again next week with more headline news.
That's right. That's our Reefer Report for February the 25th, 2019. And in closing, we'd like to say thank you for listening to our Cannabis News broadcast from the Legacy 420 News Desk here at 420radio.ca. If you enjoyed it, please share with your friends. Plus, tell them that they can usually catch us Mondays at around 2 p.m. We're sometimes a little bit late, but we're here. And don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
Ciao for now.
Legacy 420 has medicinal and recreational products down to a science, literally. With 2 biochemists on staff and a chief scientific advisor, every product is tested in the Legacy 420 laboratory. Legacy 420, Tyendinaga. Open 9 to 9 every day. Visit legacy420.com.
So what are you doing? Nothing. Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.